Have you ever walked into your home, set your keys down without thinking, and moved on with your day? Most of us do it. It's just a habit, a small, thoughtless action we repeat dozens of times a week. But what if that small habit is quietly shaping something much bigger? We don't usually associate everyday objects like keys with our financial well-being. But here's a truth that's been passed down through generations and echoed in traditions both ancient and modern. How you treat the tools that open doors in your life says a lot about how ready you are to receive what's behind them. A key is not just metal and shape. It's a symbol of access, of permission, of power, and more importantly, it represents your ability to open or close the flow of energy that surrounds you. That includes money, that includes opportunity, and that includes the small waves of luck and timing that, when stacked together, can shift everything. Now, imagine this. You leave your keys on a cluttered counter, tossed into the laundry, or dropped near the front door with yesterday's junk mail. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but energy follows attention, and the way we treat small things often reflects how we're handling bigger things in life. This video isn't about superstition. It's not about fear. It's about awareness. When we place the key to our life in a careless spot, we risk misplacing more than metal. We misplace intention. We misplace focus. And over time, that creates friction, tiny disruptions that push away what we actually want to attract. So today, we're going to take a closer look. Because if changing one small habit where you leave your keys could gently open a new door to abundance, wouldn't you want to know where to begin? Part 1: Keys, more than just to open doors. Most people never think twice about their keys. They're small, ordinary, forgettable. We carry them in our pockets, toss them onto counters, and hear them jingle as background noise to the busyness of life. But here's something we rarely ask. What if your keys aren't just objects, but quiet messengers of what you're ready to open or leave closed? A key in its simplest form grants access. That's its job. It lets you into your home, starts your car, locks what's precious, and protects what matters. But think about this deeper. The key is the very last thing you touch before stepping into the world, and the first thing you use to return to your safe space. It bridges the outside and the inside, the public and the personal, the visible and the invisible. And when something has that kind of role in your life, it's never just a tool. There's a rhythm to how we treat the things that matter. We clean the dishes that feed us. We hang up the clothes that keep us warm. We put away the photos of loved ones with care. But the key, too often we don't give it a second thought. It gets thrown next to unopened mail, lost under couch cushions, or buried in a basket of clutter. Not because we're careless, just because we're unaware. And yet, in that unconscious moment, we send a signal, not just to the space around us, but to ourselves. A signal that says, I'm not paying attention to the thing that gives me access to what I want. Now, think about what keys represent beyond their physical use. They represent permission, power, timing. They represent the ability to move forward, to unlock something new, to secure something valuable. And when we constantly lose them, mishandle them, or treat them as an afterthought, it's no wonder we sometimes feel stuck, delayed, or disconnected from progress. It's not about superstition. It's about symbolism and the stories we unknowingly write with our actions. Have you ever noticed how the smallest habits tend to echo the largest patterns in our lives? Someone who always misplaces their keys may also feel like they're always missing appointments, forgetting dreams, or falling behind in areas that matter. Someone who never designates a home for their keys might also feel like they are floating, like the important parts of life aren't anchored. It sounds like a stretch, but these connections are real. Because the way we treat small things tells the truth about how we approach big things. Now let's get personal for a moment. When was the last time you paused, not to find your keys, but to honor them? To acknowledge them as the physical representation of something you value. Your independence, your freedom, your right to walk into spaces that are yours. What if instead of tossing them into the nearest dish, you placed them down intentionally? What if that moment became a ritual of presence, of clarity, of silent gratitude? Would that shift your energy? your mindset, your relationship with what's waiting to be opened in your life. In many traditions, keys are more than functional items. They're sacred objects. In stories, the key is always the turning point. The moment the locked door creaks open, the treasure is revealed, or the truth is finally accessed. And while those are fairy tales, they mirror something real. Every single day, we carry the symbol of transition in our hands, and most of us don't even notice. This is not about becoming obsessive. You don't need to treat your keys like a sacred relic, but you can begin to treat them with quiet respect. A small shift in placement, a drawer set aside, a bowl that's not random but intentional. And in doing so, you might find that other things in your life, opportunities, finances, ideas, begin to fall into place too. Because here's the truth that often goes unspoken. Energy, whether you call it mindset, presence, or attention, follows patterns. And patterns begin with awareness. You don't have to believe in energy fields or spiritual portals to understand this. You just have to believe that your actions matter, even the smallest ones. That how you treat what holds your access is a reflection of what you expect from life. A scattered key is just a key, but it's also a metaphor for a scattered focus, for missed chances, for money that comes in and slips right back out. But a key that is placed with care. That's a statement. It says, I know what I hold, I know what I'm opening, I'm ready for more. And maybe that's the only shift you need right now, not a new job, not a bigger house, not another goal to chase. Maybe you just need to begin with something small and steady. A daily moment that says, I'm not sleepwalking through my habits anymore. So tomorrow morning, when you reach for your keys, pause. Let that moment be the beginning of something new. Not dramatic, not loud, just quiet, clear, intentional. Because the doors you want to walk through might already be waiting. You just need to show you're ready to hold the key differently. Part 2: 4 common places that silently reject abundance. Number 1, on your dining table or coffee table. There's a kind of quiet sacredness to the tables in our home. We don't always name it, but we feel it. The dining table is where family gathers, even if just for 5 minutes, to share meals, updates, or simply be near one another. The coffee table is where we set down our morning cup, where guests drop their phones and laughter, where memories quietly settle into the cushions of the room. These surfaces carry energy, not dramatic, not mystical, just energy shaped by routine, by repetition, by meaning. And yet, how many times have your keys ended up right there? Right on the table where you eat, or the one in the living room where you try to relax. It seems innocent, convenient, logical even. You walk in, you toss the keys where they'll be easy to find. But here's the quiet truth that often goes unnoticed. You've just brought the energy of go into the place that's meant for stay. A key symbolizes movement, leaving, arriving, unlocking, exiting. It carries the outside world on it. Every doorknob it's turned, every engine it's started, every place it's been dropped and picked up again. Keys don't just hold germs and fingerprints, they hold momentum. And when you drop that motion right in the middle of your home's most stable zones, you unintentionally stir up restlessness where there should be grounding. Think about your dining table. It's more than a surface, it's the anchor of nourishment. Whether you eat alone, with a partner, or with grandkids who leave crumbs behind, that table represents flow, of food, of love, of stability. Now picture setting your keys right there, next to a salt shaker or beside a napkin. It doesn't seem wrong, but symbolically it disrupts something essential. It mixes the act of leaving into the space where you most need to feel rooted. And in that contradiction, energy, however you define it, loses clarity. What does that look like in real life? Maybe it shows up as money that feels like it's constantly slipping through your fingers. You earn, you budget, you plan, but somehow there's always something unexpected. A leak, a late fee, a missed opportunity. The numbers don't add up, and the peace never quite settles. You feel like you're doing all the right things, but security keeps moving just beyond your reach. Now consider the coffee table. This space is often the center of interaction. It hosts conversations, shared shows, phone calls with friends, moments of quiet connection. When your keys live here, even temporarily, they bring with them the invisible tension of the outside world. Traffic, errands, appointments, responsibilities. That lingering tension can subtly affect the atmosphere. Suddenly, the living room doesn't feel as calm. Conversations feel a little shorter, the background noise a bit louder, the mind more cluttered even when the room is clean. We underestimate how the placement of small objects influences the way a room feels. But you've felt it before. You've walked into a space that looked fine but felt off, and you've stepped into others that were imperfect but warm, grounded, welcoming. The difference often comes down to unseen messages, the quiet cues that shape how we breathe, how we think, how we connect. Keys on a coffee table send a message. I'm still halfway out the door. It may not be conscious, but your body reads it. Your nervous system responds, and over time it adds up. Let's be clear, this isn't about guilt. You're not doing anything wrong. You're simply doing what most people do, choosing ease over energy, choosing function over feeling. But once you notice the effect, you have the choice to shift it, to reclaim these central places in your home for what they were meant to hold: peace, connection, abundance. And the shift is beautifully simple. Instead of dropping your keys on the nearest surface, create a space for them that supports what they represent. A place of transition, not destination. Keep them by the door in a designated bowl, drawer, or shelf. Keep them near light, near intention. Let your dining table be for nourishment. Let your coffee table be for connection. Let your keys rest somewhere else, where their energy can wait until it's truly needed. Because here's the soft truth many people miss. Abundance doesn't just come from what you do. It also comes from what you protect. And sometimes, protecting the calm spaces in your home is the most powerful wealth move you can make. Number 2, right by the front door. The front door of your home is more than a functional entryway. It's a threshold. It's the place where your private world meets the outside one. It's the moment between who you are out there and who you are when you come home. And whether you live in a busy suburban house, a quiet apartment, or a countryside cottage, the area around your front door carries more emotional weight than we often give it credit for. Now here's a habit many of us share without thinking. We walk in, set our keys down, right on the entryway table, the hallway shelf, or that little catch-all bowl by the door. It makes sense, right? It's convenient. You won't forget where they are. But what if that very convenience is creating something inconvenient in your energy, especially when it comes to the way abundance flows into your life? In energetic terms, your front door is like the mouth of the house. It's the place where new energy enters. Opportunity, fresh ideas, good news, unexpected moments of joy. It's the beginning of circulation, the way your home breathes. And when the very first thing that greets that incoming energy is a symbol of departure, your keys, it can send a conflicting message. Welcome, but don't get comfortable. A key, as we've explored, holds the symbolism of movement. It represents unlocking, leaving, returning, and most importantly, change. So when you place it right at the mouth of the house, it doesn't just rest there. It begins to influence what enters. Imagine greeting every new experience, every piece of luck, every visitor with an item that whispers, "We're already on our way out." It's subtle, but energy is subtle, and over time that subtle cue adds up. You might notice that things come into your life, clients, relationships, ideas, but they don't stay. Money arrives but disappears just as quickly. You feel like you're doing all the right things, but stability slips through your fingers. Your home, instead of feeling like a sanctuary, feels like a hallway, just another space to pass through, not to settle in. There's another layer too: security. Placing keys in plain sight near the door may feel efficient, but it also makes them visible to anyone passing through. And while we might trust our environment, that small exposure invites vulnerability, both physical and emotional. It's like leaving the gate to your garden just slightly open, assuming the wind won't notice. The emotional tone of the front door matters. If it's cluttered, rushed, or chaotic, you feel it every time you come home. You walk in and your body doesn't exhale, it braces. And while keys aren't the only factor, they contribute to that first impression. When they're scattered, tangled with junk mail, or carelessly tossed, the message is loud. There's no space for clarity here. So what can you do? You don't need to hide your keys in a vault, but you can shift their placement by just a few steps, literally. Move them away from the direct line of entry. Create a small, intentional space just inside the home, ideally off to the side. A drawer, a decorative box, a quiet shelf near something calming, a plant, a photo, a piece of art. Let them land in a space that says, "You've arrived, you're safe, and there's no rush to leave again." This isn't about being fussy, it's about honoring transitions, the same way you wouldn't greet a guest at the door and immediately hand them their coat. Don't greet opportunity with your keys. Give new energy a moment to settle in. Let your home feel like a welcome, not a warning. Here's the truth that lives beneath the surface. The way we treat our entryways often mirrors how we receive what life brings us. If the threshold is rushed, overwhelmed, or forgotten, so are the chances that try to reach us. But when we make space, real, physical space, for things to enter calmly, we give them room to stay. So next time you walk through your front door, pause, look around. What does this space say about what's allowed in, and what's pushed out too quickly? Are your keys guarding the doorway or blocking the very flow of good that's trying to reach you? The answer doesn't require a big renovation, just a shift in intention. And that might be all it takes to turn your entryway from a point of pause into a quiet invitation for abundance to finally walk through and stay a while. Number 3, on the floor in a dark corner or mixed in with laundry. We've all done it. You walk in from a long day, arms full, thoughts scattered, and without thinking, your keys fall onto the couch, the carpet, maybe even the floor by the door. Sometimes they slip out of your purse and disappear under a chair. Other times they land right beside a laundry basket full of clothes that have waited too long to be folded. It doesn't seem like a big deal. Life gets messy. We're busy. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, what does it say to your space, to your mind, to your energy, when the thing that opens doors for you ends up at your feet or buried in things meant to be cleaned? The floor is where things fall. It's the lowest point in a room, for objects, for energy, and sometimes for our attention. Leaving your keys on the floor or in dim, forgotten corners may seem harmless, but symbolically it places the concept of access, your power to move, to grow, to unlock opportunities at the lowest possible place in your environment. It says, "This can wait, this isn't important." And over time, that message doesn't just stay with your keys, it starts to echo into how you feel about your time, your money, your direction. Dark corners are where things get lost, not just socks or toys, but clarity. These are places we avoid, the ones we say we'll clean next weekend, the ones where dust settles and energy stagnates. And when your keys end up there, alone, forgotten, it's more than just a misplaced object. It's a reflection of distraction, of disconnection, of a life that's maybe moving too fast to remember what matters most. And laundry, that's the energy of used up. It's clothing that's carried the weight of your day, the sweat, the stress, the errands, the phone calls. Mixing your keys into that pile blurs the line between what empowers you and what exhausts you. Your keys represent movement and possibility, but the laundry represents pause, repair, reset. And when you mix the two, when you let the object of momentum sink into the fabric of fatigue, you confuse your own energetic signals. None of this means you're doing something wrong. These aren't moral failures, they're human habits. They happen in real homes, with real families, with real distractions. But what if this was your moment to shift that habit, not out of guilt, but out of intention? Think about how you feel when you can't find your keys. That moment of panic, that rush, that subtle self-blame. Now think bigger. Is there any other place in your life where you feel like you're always trying to catch up? Like you're always running 5 minutes behind an opportunity, always missing the start of something important, always one step away from a breakthrough? It's not just about keys. It's about the stories we tell ourselves in tiny moments that add up over time. When we treat something with value, when we give it a proper place, it changes how we relate to it, and more importantly, how it relates back to us. A key placed on the floor is more likely to be stepped on, overlooked, or even broken. And isn't that a metaphor we've all lived at some point? Feeling like the door was right there, but something was just off, just misplaced, just hard to hold onto. But here's the shift. When you lift something off the floor, you elevate more than just the object. You elevate your focus, your respect, your readiness. And with that, you begin to change what life brings you. Because the universe doesn't just watch what you chase, it watches what you care for. It watches what you forget. And sometimes the door you've been waiting to open hasn't stayed shut because you didn't have the right key, but because the key you needed was buried under yesterday's weight. So tonight, before you turn off the lights, look around. Are your keys under the chair? Hidden beneath a pile? Slipped behind a door? If they are, don't just pick them up, lift them up. Give them a place that honors what they represent. Because how you hold the tools that open your life says everything about what you're ready to walk into next. Number 4, on a high shelf, hard to reach. At first glance, putting your keys on a high shelf might seem like the smart choice. It's tucked away, out of sight, safe from kids, pets, spills. Maybe it's the top of the fridge, a hallway cabinet, or that tall entryway ledge that collects all the things you don't want to deal with yet. It feels tidy, controlled. But here's what we rarely notice until it's too late. When you consistently place the object that represents access, motion, and progress somewhere that's hard to reach, your life starts to echo that effort. There's a small, subtle frustration that builds when something you use every day is always just out of reach. You might not notice it at first, a slight stretch, a small grunt, a chair pulled over. But over time, that pattern embeds itself in your nervous system. It sends a quiet message. What I need is never right here. You may not say it out loud, but your body learns it. Your energy starts to respond to it. And before long, that belief shows up in more than just your morning routine. Suddenly, opportunities feel far away, goals feel heavy, timing feels off. And you catch yourself saying things like, "Nothing comes easy for me," or "It always feels like I'm chasing." A key is a symbol of movement, of forward momentum. But when it's stored on a shelf you rarely touch, it becomes disconnected from your daily rhythm. It's no longer part of your flow, it becomes a hurdle. And here's the deeper truth. When you disconnect from the tools that open your life, you start to feel disconnected from your power to change it. High places are for things we rarely use, keepsakes, seasonal decor, boxes of what-ifs. But your keys are daily, active, symbolic. They deserve a place that's accessible, respectful, and grounded. If you have to pause, reach, or strain every time you need them, what else in your life are you unknowingly treating the same way? Are your goals always someday? Are your finances always just out of balance? Are your breakthroughs always almost there? And there's something else. Spaces that are too high are often neglected. They gather dust. They're dimly lit. They're stale. And energetically, they become stagnant. If your keys sit there day after day, they absorb that stillness. The energy of not now. The vibration of forgotten. And in a strange but very real way, that energy transfers into your choices, into your flow, into the parts of you that want to move forward, but keep hitting invisible ceilings. This isn't about organizing. It's not about being fussy. It's about choosing a relationship with your life that feels reachable, trusting that what you need can live within arm's length, that the doors you want to open don't have to stay locked behind some distant effort. When you bring your keys back down, literally, you also bring your energy back down to earth. You become grounded in your own rhythm, more present, more ready, more in sync. And maybe that's all this moment is asking of you, not a huge shift, not a dramatic change. Just this: stop storing your power in places you have to stretch to reach. Let the object that opens your world live in a space that honors how ready you are to walk through it, without delay, without struggle, without strain. So take a look tonight. Is there a shelf where your keys live, a place you almost dread reaching for each morning? If so, ask yourself, why am I keeping access to my life up there? What am I afraid will happen if I bring it closer? You deserve ease, not because life is easy, but because you've earned the right to stop chasing things that were meant to meet you where you are. Bring your keys down. Let them rest in the same place your intentions live, close, clear, ready. Because when you stop putting what matters on a shelf, life starts to feel more within reach. Part 3: 3 powerful spots that attract wealth instead. Number 1, a clean, dedicated drawer. There's something quietly powerful about a drawer, not just because it hides clutter or stores convenience, but because it holds what you've chosen to protect. A drawer isn't a display, it's not for show. It's personal, private, intentional. And when you dedicate a drawer just for your keys, you do something rare in today's fast-paced world. You assign sacred meaning to a simple, everyday act. We often underestimate the value of containment, the power of having a clear space for the things that matter. But energy responds to structure. Life responds to clarity. And the moment you give your keys a home, not just a random bowl or a dusty ledge, but a drawer that's clean, calm, and just for them, you start sending a very different message into your space. I am in charge of what opens in my life. This isn't about being perfect. It's not about minimalism or aesthetic trends. It's about alignment. When you give your keys a specific drawer, you tell your home and your mind exactly where access lies. You're not scrambling, you're not guessing. You're not rushing out the door hoping the keys didn't fall behind the couch again. You know where they are, and in that knowing, something shifts. You begin your day with confidence, not chaos, with clarity, not friction. But there's something deeper here, too. When a drawer is clean, it becomes more than storage. It becomes an energetic boundary. It says, this space is for opening. Not for receipts, not for batteries, not for random takeout menus, just your keys, just the symbol of your ability to move forward. And here's where it gets powerful. A clean drawer reflects a clean intention. The kind of clarity that invites wealth. Not just money, but ideas, support, opportunity, timing. Because wealth flows toward people who make space for it. People who care for the tools that carry it. People who aren't waiting to feel ready someday, but who act like they're ready now. If your current key drawer is full of clutter, crumbs, or old pens, you're not broken, you're just busy. Life gets noisy. But you can reset it right now. Take 5 minutes, clear it out, wipe it clean. Maybe even line it with something soft, a fabric you love, a smooth paper, a small symbol of growth, something that says, this is the home of what unlocks my future. And don't underestimate how that simple act ripples into everything else. You may find you start taking better care of your time, your schedule, your money. You start noticing where else you've let chaos creep in. Because when one drawer becomes intentional, other parts of your life follow. There's also a sense of quiet respect in this. Respect for your own movement, for the way you enter and exit spaces, for the rhythm of your daily life. Your keys go with you everywhere, but they also need a place to return. And when that return is intentional, safe, and calm, it mirrors the kind of life you want your abundance to return to. Here's a gentle truth. The universe doesn't just respond to what we desire, it responds to how we prepare. If you want more clarity, more support, more luck, more ease, show that you've made space for it. Not just emotionally, but physically. Start small. Start with the drawer. Because a drawer is not just a drawer. It's a quiet contract between you and the path ahead. It says, I know what I'm holding. I know how I want to show up. I'm ready to open what's next. And maybe that's the real shift. Not some big breakthrough. Not some life-changing windfall. Just a clean drawer holding a set of keys and all the places they are about to take you. Number 2. A small shelf with symbols of good fortune. Not every home has a fireplace. Not every corner can be remodeled. But almost every home, no matter how small, has room for a little shelf. And that shelf, when placed with care, when chosen with intention, can become something more than a surface. It can become a quiet altar for abundance, a place where your keys don't just rest, but recharge. We live in a world of utility. Most of us are taught to focus on function. Where's the nearest surface? What's the easiest reach? But life, real life, rich life, isn't just about function. It's about feeling. It's about choosing beauty in the middle of the ordinary. And that's what a small shelf with symbols of good fortune does. It turns a routine moment into something meaningful. It turns dropping your keys into a daily act of alignment. But this isn't about religion or superstition or following some complicated ritual. It's about creating one small place in your home that says, here I honor what opens my life. A place where your keys sit beside a stone you found on a peaceful walk, or a candle that's never been burned but still holds intention. Maybe it's a photo of someone who always believed in you, a note you once wrote to your future self, a charm, a feather, a coin, something that reminds you luck isn't random, it's invited. This shelf doesn't need to be fancy. It doesn't need to match your decor. It just needs to feel like you. A quiet corner near the entryway, a wall in your bedroom, even the top of a dresser, cleared, dusted, chosen. And when you place your keys there, you're not just putting them down, you're anchoring energy. You're saying, I'm aware of what I carry, I'm ready for what's next. Because keys are not just tools, they are companions. They move with you, they touch the places you enter. They unlock the moments you've been waiting for. And when they rest beside symbols of joy, of hope, of wealth, those qualities start to echo. Not in some magical way, but in the way that matters most, through attention, through respect, through daily care. And here's what most people miss. Abundance is deeply tied to beauty, not extravagance, not luxury, but beauty, the kind that makes you pause, breathe, soften. A leaf turning gold outside your window, the smell of fresh coffee. A shelf where your keys sit beside a tiny reminder that you are allowed to receive. That you don't have to hustle every moment to earn good things. That sometimes good fortune comes quietly and it stays because it feels welcomed. When you create a shelf like this, you create a habit of reverence, and that habit shifts your nervous system. You begin to move through the world less frantically. You stop grabbing your keys like you're running late for life and instead pick them up with presence, with calm, with readiness. And in that moment, you send a signal not just to your home, but to yourself. I'm not rushing anymore. I'm arriving. There's also something symbolic about placing your keys higher, not high out of reach, but elevated, respected. It lifts the energy. It says, what opens my life deserves to be seen, and the symbols you choose to surround them with, they are yours. They don't need to be explained to anyone. They just need to feel like a yes. A yes to joy, a yes to peace, a yes to more. So tonight, look around your home. Is there a ledge, a shelf, a small space that's been waiting for attention? Can you clear it, wipe it clean, add one or two small objects that carry warmth? Can you turn it into a landing place, not just for keys, but for intention? Because when you do, you'll feel it, not right away, not dramatically, but slowly. A shift in how your morning starts, a softness in how your day ends, a sense that maybe, just maybe, you're not just going through the motions anymore. You're inviting something bigger, and it's finally finding a place to land. Number 3, in a wooden, ceramic, or crystal bowl placed a step or two from the door. Sometimes the most powerful shifts begin with something as small as a bowl. Not an expensive one, not a decorative piece that never gets touched, but one that feels real in your hands. Smooth ceramic, warm wood, clear, grounding crystal, something solid, something chosen, something that says, this is where I begin and where I return. Placing your keys into a bowl like this, just a few steps from your front door, might seem like nothing, but it's actually everything. Because what you're really doing is creating a ritual. One that greets you every day with calm. One that reminds you you're home, not just physically, but emotionally. You're not rushing in. You're not halfway gone. You've arrived, and your space reflects that. A bowl like this does more than hold your keys. It holds your pause, that tiny moment between coming and going. The breath before you switch roles, from worker to partner, from caregiver to self, from outer world to inner one. And when the bowl is made of natural, grounding material like wood, clay, or crystal, it brings you back to yourself in a quiet, tactile way. Wood whispers warmth. It feels like something that's lived, something that remembers. When you drop your keys into a wooden bowl, there's a softness to it, a small thud that doesn't echo, that doesn't rush, just a resting, a return. Ceramic brings balance, smooth, intentional, often handmade. A reminder that beauty and function can live in the same breath. And crystal reflects, it amplifies, it says, your energy is welcome here. It makes even your most ordinary objects feel sacred. And where you place this bowl matters, not right at the door where keys become a barrier, not across the house where finding them adds stress, but just a few steps in. Enough to say this is a home, not a hallway. Enough to give your arrival a sense of grace. Think about how most days begin, a scramble, a checklist, a mad dash for shoes and wallets and coffee and time. But when your keys live in a bowl like this, your morning starts with a small moment of clarity. You know where they are, you know where you are. There's no hunting, no sighing, no scattered panic. Just reach, lift, go. But deeper still, this bowl becomes a symbol, a container for movement, for choice, for transition. And when it's made of natural material, it echoes what abundance actually needs to grow: earth, intention, stillness. It tells your nervous system, you're safe to move forward. And it tells the energy around you, this home is not in chaos, this home is ready. It's a small act with big consequences, because how you begin and end your day matters. Where you place your keys isn't about aesthetics, it's about message. Are you saying, I never know where I'm going? Or are you saying, I know where I begin? Are you tossing your day into the corner, or are you placing it gently into something that holds space for your return? And the beauty is, it's so easy to start. Find a bowl you already love, one that feels right in your hands, wipe it clean, clear the space around it. Maybe add a small stone, a slip of paper with one word on it: peace, trust, open. Place it not as decoration, but as declaration. Then tomorrow, when you walk through the door, drop your keys there, not carelessly, but with awareness, with softness, with the quiet knowing that you've just created space for something better to follow. Because abundance doesn't need fanfare. It doesn't need perfection. It just needs a place to land. Sometimes it's not the big decisions that shape our lives. It's the tiny moments we don't even notice. Where we place our keys, how we enter our home, the way we rush, or the way we pause. These are not just habits, they are messages. Messages we send to ourselves every day without saying a word. You see, your keys are more than metal and weight. They represent your access, your power to move, to begin, to return. And when they're tossed into chaos, onto the floor, into a pile, or lost behind the laundry, it's not just inconvenience that shows up. It's a quiet echo in the background of your life, whispering. Things are scattered, unclear, hard to hold on to. But when you make the small decision to place them with intention, in a drawer, on a shelf, in a bowl that feels like home, you change the script. You tell your space, your nervous system, your very sense of timing, I'm ready for clarity. I'm ready for things to arrive and stay. I'm ready to stop chasing and start receiving. It may feel like a stretch that something so small could matter this much. But science has shown us again and again, the brain craves patterns, ritual, safety. And when the very first thing you touch when you leave or return is grounded in calm, in order, in beauty, your whole day shifts. This isn't about superstition. It's about energetic responsibility. The way a clean drawer resets your thinking. The way a small shelf reminds you of what matters. The way a bowl placed with care turns an exit into a ritual and a return into a welcome. So tonight, as you reach for your keys, wherever they are, ask yourself, what kind of energy do I want to carry through this door tomorrow? And more importantly, am I making space for it or pushing it away without even knowing? Thank you for walking this journey with me. Thank you for choosing to look deeper into something so everyday and finding meaning where most people wouldn't even look. I hope this made you pause, not just your hands, but your heart. And if it did, may that pause be the beginning of something quietly powerful in your life. May your doors open easily. May your keys always rest with purpose. And may the wealth you've been waiting for finally feel at home in your hands.